And we're back in Inside the Ropes, and this week we have a lady who has been a diva, she has been a knockout, she has portrayed a stalker, she's a country music singer, she's a lady of many hats, but she is now in Inside the Ropes. It is Mickie James. Mickie, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I do have a plethora of hats, actually. How did you know that?
Literal hats or metaphorical hats?
Literal hats.
Oh, good, okay. So how are you doing? How's things going?
I'm doing great. Thank you. Have a big show coming up on Saturday at the World Chicken Festival. Have you guys heard of the World Chicken Festival?
I've not. The World Chicken Festival. Tell me more about that.
Well, it's in London, Kentucky. It's this Saturday. And it is apparently the epicenter of the Festival of Chickens. I mean, there's going to be a frying pan probably the size of my living room frying chicken all day. You should be there.
I should get rid of my job and just come to the World Chicken Festival. Well, one of the things that struck me that I wanted to ask you about as soon as I knew that we were going to be talking to you was a lot of wrestlers in the last maybe decade or so, Mick Foley, Lita, The Rock, Chris Jericho, have all been professional wrestlers and then moved into something else, whether it be music, acting. And, wrestling seems like this sort of thing that you really have to dedicate everything to it to sort of break in and become successful. So I kind of wondered what was the point where you decided I'm going to try and go for this as well and try and do the music?
Well, I think that music has always been a huge part of my life. Like, honestly, wrestling was my dad and I thing. Like, that was our kind of bonding thing, and I loved wrestling, grew up wrestling. Of course, you'd say, oh, I'm going to be a wrestler, in commercial break, and then you come off the couch with an elbow. But music was, probably my first love, along with horses. And I would go around and I would record myself and make these tapes and sing all the time with my little microphone and it's just one of those things. And then I played the violin for 5 years. It's just, I think that was kind of the first thing that I truly wanted to do. And then after I was so successful in wrestling, and I was very fortunate to be able to, really make such an incredible name for myself, it was one of those things where I go, this is the one thing that I've always wanted to do, and that I truly love equally, as equal as wrestling, and a massive passion of mine. And the only reason why I never did anything with it was, the lack of knowledge and just pretty much fear. And I'm like, that's not me. Like, I'm going to go down here and I'm going to record these few songs that I wrote, and if nothing comes of it, then so be it, but at least I can say I did it. And then out of that, I went to Nashville, I took this, booklet of songs that I wrote and met some different people and stuff, and that's when, I started working on the first album because, Kent, he's like, I get it, and this is what we're, and we went in and we did a full-on album, and I thought, for myself, for the first kind of swing at that and really, just getting my feet wet in the music world, it did pretty well, and I was really happy with it. And, I went on to, keep working and keep writing, and I met Jeff and Alex at Show Music Co., and then went back in the studio and started working on the second album with the Kickstarter program, which was really cool, because it was like one of those things I'd like to get that personal experience and that one-on-one kind of thing from the fans. And then they are a part of it because they were a part of it, before we even stepped in the studio. And then out of that, I got signed with D1 Music Nashville, and it's just super cool. And now it's like with this album, I feel like it's more at home, like not only with my writing, but to be able to perform and to lay down the songs that are who I am, that rock and kick butt girl.
People are wondering your sort of status. Are you going to still be in TNA? Are you going to go back? Are you going to go somewhere else? What can you tell us right now about where you are within wrestling?
I mean, I really don't know. I'm not really at liberty to say because, I'm going to figure it out.
Yeah. But so
like you just don't know, do you?
Yeah, but it is likely that we're going to see you in wrestling, hopefully at some stage again.
Oh, absolutely. I'm far from done.
Good. Well, I think that's the main thing that people wanted to know. But whether you do turn back up in TNA or not, you've had a lot of kind of you've been TNA since 2010, and you've sort of had a lot of different rivalries and feuds. And I just wondered, what are your sort of favourite experiences that you've had in TNA this kind of second time round that you were there?
Oh, well, the ultimate has to be the cage match with Tara, for sure. Just because, that was the first time for me to main event, the show, and that's such a huge honor in itself. And my first time really in a cage, to wrestle in a cage match, and it was just amazing, and it was just an incredible feeling, because it's a tremendous amount of respect coming from the locker room and from your peers and also from the people in the office to put you guys in that spotlight, that's usually reserved for the main event. It's reserved for the world champions. And so that was super cool.
And also this year you were playing the heel character. I mean, I always remember the promo on the ladder. That was something that I really enjoyed.
Thank you.
There's been a lot of progress, I think, with promos, because there seemed to be a period of time a couple of years ago where women weren't getting as much time to do promos. And, with yourself and TNA and with AJ and WWE, there seems to be more time getting invested in it right now. But I wondered, because you've played heel and babyface a few times, what is it? I mean, because everybody tends to say they prefer being the bad guy, but what do you find the sort of mix between them? Do you find it quite easy to go between both, or are you just do you really prefer being the heel?
Oh gosh, I don't know. Because I've only been the heel twice in my televised career, and that was when I first came in. And even then, when I first came in, it was about 6 months before I legitimately turned heel in TNA this last bit to be a heel. But then for 8 years, I was a babyface. I was the good guy, and that was that's a tough. I think that people don't realize how tough being the good guy is, because you have to think about like all the little things, and it's just more about sympathy and building that emotional kind of connection with the fans. And so with the heel, I feel like it's obviously it's fun because you can go out there and play this ridiculous character, but it's a little bit easier to get people to hate you when you're saying all the things that make people, that are going to make people hate you. So it's just a way I think the trick is to be able to do it a different way than everybody else is doing it, and not go the easy route like, oh, this town sucks.
And when you were working in TNA and you guys were in Universal Studios doing Impact there, and then Impact was taken on the road, did you notice a sort of large difference in taking it to different towns, and how would you sort of compare the two if you could?
Oh, well, I mean, obviously there's a massive difference. Like the thing is with Orlando, like the Universal Studios, it was great, but we, especially in the, when there was vacationers and stuff like that, but typically we had the same studio audience, that same hardcore group of fans that would come to every taping, and that's a cool factor to have. But on the road, it's just that live aspect of being, those fans, they feel like they're a part of the show because it's in their hometown and it's live television taping, and, they're going to get a chance to get seen on TV or their signs and to be a part of the show. And so I think it's a great difference. And it takes I feel like the energy of the show, you can see it. It kind of comes through the screen, because that energy not only transforms through the screen, but through you as a performer, and because you feed off of that as an artist, I think.
And obviously the Trish angle in 2005 is sort of, it's heralded as like, the women's angle to try and follow, because it was so, it was such a long thought out story. But you actually kind of came up with the genesis of that idea originally, did you not?
I did. And, it was a matter of, when I was in OVW for close to 3 years, and in that time I probably wrote all different kinds of ideas and characters and stuff like that, of things that, this could possibly maybe work, and you just throw as much stuff against the wall and hopefully something sticks. But I kind of, developed this character of this like super fan who obviously had trained in wrestling because she'd been such a massive fan for so long, and to be like this bit of edgy character. But with the, working with the writers and working with Trish and Stephanie and everybody to kind of develop this in the storyline, it was the first time I feel like in a long time that the women had that serious development in just one story. I mean, it took it took 6 months to get to WrestleMania, or even just when, just turning heel in the first place, or just completely, doing that psychotic switch. So it was cool. It was so much fun to do.
And then obviously it culminated in WrestleMania 22, and I hadn't really thought about it before till you kind of mentioned it, but I guess it was almost this fitting moment for you that you had grown up loving Sherry Martel, and the night that you win the women's title in Chicago at WrestleMania is the same weekend that Sherry's put in the Hall of Fame. What was that whole experience, that weekend, that night like for you?
It was overwhelming. Like, if I could put the feelings that I had, and especially in that moment in the ring, and I think it was when it was when I jumped off the top of Trish's leg and fell to the floor or whatever, and I yelled out to scream and then crawled back in the ring. Like, it was that moment because the people it sent chill bumps, and I still get chill bumps thinking about it down my spine. Like, it was incredible because obviously WrestleMania, that show is a spectacle in itself, and people are coming from all points of the world to come see this one show and be a part of this, and it was just electric. And it was that moment where, like, my mom's sitting in the front row. I've worked for, 7 years at this point to just get to this one moment. And not only is it my very first WrestleMania, I'm winning the women's championship. My mom's in the front row, and these people are going insane. It was, if I could bottle up that feeling that I had, I can't even explain it, and share it with the world, I really would. Like, it was incredible. And
then not too long after, this is something that a lot of people don't tend to bring up, but like you had at Survivor Series in 2006, you were in Lita's last match as a full-time competitor in WWE. So what was it like going from working with Trish in this sort of long angle, and then you got to work with Lita, who were, you basically got to work with the two most influential female performers in that company from the sort of the Attitude Era. What was that like working with Lita?
Oh, God, amazing. And, the thing is that a lot of people don't know is that, like, Lita really helped me out a lot and just becoming better and really knowing, the ins and outs of the wrestling. Because when I was working the independent circuit, and I'd work a lot in the Carolinas, she'd have to be living there at the time. It was weird. She would be randomly at some of these little independent shows, and she would pull me aside after the matches and be like, "This was great. Don't ever do this again. And I don't know why you did this, but it would have been better here." You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
little things. And she really, really helped me, and she's one of those people that I feel like I can call it, like, we'll talk like once every 3 months or whatever, just kind of chit-chat, and it's right back to, like, she's just an amazing person. And to be able to be a part of that, somebody that had really helped me along and really aided me, and then to be a part of her final moments in WWE, it was pretty amazing. And then obviously I was also part of Trish's last match on Raw. It was really weird because it was one of those strange moments when you realize that it was changing, things were changing, and because those were, when, as a performer and when I first started in the ring, those were the women that were capturing my television screen, and that you were trying to be like, I don't want to be like Trish, I don't want to be like Lita, I want to be at their level.
Yeah, definitely. And I also just kind of finally wanted to ask you about AJ in WWE has, in the last kind of year or so, been sort of one of the most featured women on television in wrestling. And I just wondered if you got a chance to check out much of what she's done, because I guess there's some kind of comparisons to some of the character, that little nuances that maybe you could compare to what you did back in 2005.
Yeah, well, you know what? I've heard that, and I've seen that, and I feel like they've done it a bit different, which is, obviously you don't want to do it same anyway, but I haven't had a chance to see, like, obviously I said my cable was on the fritz. I did get a chance to see her segment, like, last night with Stephanie backstage, which was cool. And then I've seen some, like, fan stuff where they tweeted me or whatever, like, whether it's mashups or different things, like comparing the two of us. But that's a cool thing, you know what I mean? Because obviously we did something right the first time, or you wouldn't want to kind of do it from a different angle again. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. And also, you, for any wrestling fans that want to try and check out your music, you're actually going to be doing the WrestleCon show next year at WrestleMania weekend. Is that right?
I am. That's going to be amazing. Because we thought about doing that this past year, but it's just one of those things of, like, we weren't for sure how it was going to be, how we were going to actually make it happen and make it work. But because there's obviously, there's so many people there for WrestleMania, and they obviously come there for WrestleCon too, because that's where you can see a lot of the people that you know from the world of wrestling, but aren't necessarily going to be on WrestleMania or at the show or anything like that. And so it's a big reunion for all of us. And so then to be able to share my music on that stage, I just think it's going to be fun. It's going to be awesome.
It will be. And we just want to give you a quick plug, because obviously you've got lots going on. Actually, somebody that you work with, John Canton, is someone we've had on the show a couple of times before. So there's a sort of 6 degrees of separation thing going on. We're friends with John.
How about that?
And John knows you. So yeah, you can. How can people check you out? You've got the website mickiejames.com. People can follow you on Twitter at Mickie James. Is that right?
Yes. I try to keep it simple. And then obviously my Facebook is Mickie L. James altogether. But yeah, if you go to mickiejames.com, obviously it will lead you to any and every social outlet that we have, from the Facebook, Twitter, to Reverb Nation. It's all right there.
We are actually doing a giveaway of one of your CDs on the show tonight, and all people need to do to be in with a chance to win a copy is to tell us who you defeated to win your first WWE Women's Championship. So hopefully, if they've listened to this interview, they've kind of gathered who that is. And
they would, yes, they will know that. Otherwise, they weren't listening.
Great, Mickie. Thank you very much for coming on the show. We really appreciate it. Good luck with the music. We hope that we'll get to see you in wrestling again soon, and maybe get to talk to you down the road.